Good day, viewers. This is 300 Plus Academy, where all we do is exams tutoring, ensuring that you ace your next exam. Of course, what is a biology practical preparation without drawings? It is not complete. So, looking at NECO 2025 biology practical, what are the expected drawings? At least in the exam, we're going to be having minimum of 2 drawings. Specimen A, it is very possible. Specimen A, that's housefly. Specimen B, that is a spider, is also possible. Specimen C, looking very likely, talking about the pride of Barbados flower. Specimen D, I do not see any bearing there. Specimen E as well, looking very probable. Specimen G, okay. And of course, if I'm to look at this last group, we have specimen H to O. I think between specimen H and specimen I, we should be having one drawing, but I think more probably I would go for the femur of a mammal, of a rabbit in this instance. Okay, so we'll be looking at the drawing for specimen A, B, C, E, G, and I. If we were told in the exam, okay, draw 8 to 10 centimeter, or let's say 10 to 12 centimeter long of specimen A. You know, in the course of this exam, we were provided with a magnifying and lens. So if the question says, using a hand lens, examine specimen A and draw a 10 to 12 centimeter or maybe 8 to 10 centimeter long of specimen A. How are we going to draw? What should be the basic plan? The basic plan should be first an oval looking thorax, somewhat like this, and then like this, so that when it stops here, this looks like the thorax. Then you see this thorax, we then divide it into 3. We divide it into 3 segments. Having done that, the next thing is for us to then draw the abdomen from where the third segment, you know, ends. Something somewhat like this, but this time around a bit oval, a bit spherical, not oval. Next, we then divide the abdomen into 4 segments. Where the thorax ends, we can have the 4th segment there. We can have the 4th segment there, and then another segment, and then another segment, and things. Okay. Now, this is the basic plan. This is the thorax. This is the abdomen. Next up is for us to draw the compound eyes, you know, compound eyes. The compound eyes is totally black. Yes, some will argue we don't shade in biology. No, not for the eye. This is the eye, you know. Then have the compound eye, and you know, you then have the compound eye. It's beginning to take shape. You then have the compound eye. You close it up. Okay. When you close it up, you have the compound eye. You close it up, and in there you're going to have, you know, just 2 dots for the simple eye. The simple eye is at the center. The compound eye is by the side. Next up is the airy antennae. Just double zigzag line. Now, this is the basic plan for the housefly. The next thing is to now look at the appendages and the wing. The first pair of walking leg will be in the thorax, and it's going to be on the first segment of the thorax. It's going to go somewhat like this. You see? And then we go like this. You see? Jointed appendages. And then from here, all through till it ends in the claw. So you can see the first pair of leg is going to look something like this till it ends in the claw. That is for the first part. The same thing we've had here, we're going to have on this side as well. So this is going to go like and then to the side, and then we're going to go like this, something like this, you know, something like this till it ends in a claw. Okay, and that's just about that. That's the first pair of walking leg on the prothorax. On the prothorax. Next up is the wing. The wing should go something like this. Of course, with something looking like veins all through the length. Next up should now be the second pair of legs. That's just going to be straight. It also ends in a claw. And the same thing we've done on this side, we have to repeat on this side. So this is going to look like the so we repeat the same thing. This here is for the wing. Okay, we repeat the same thing, and for the leg the same thing is going to repeat itself. This is just going to be like the basic plan for the leg, and then we begin to go like that, like that, like that, like that, until we get to the claw. We've been able to draw the first pair of leg is on the prothorax, the second pair of leg is on the mesothorax, and this here is the metathorax. At the point where we have the abdomen joining the thorax, we should have the third pair of leg should be a lot longer. This is going to go downwards. Okay. Yes, this is the basic plan for Musca domestica, talking about our common housefly. So what should our labeling look like? This is the feathery antenna. These here are the compound eyes, and in between are two small simple eyes, otherwise called ocelli. You can see that in the diagram on your screen. Altogether, this forms the head. You can see antenna, ocelli, and the compound eyes forms the head. This region here is the thorax. Now, the first segment in the thorax is the prothorax. The second segment is the mesothorax, and the third segment in the thorax is the metathorax. Now, on the prothorax, we have the prothorax jointed leg, and then we have the four wings. These are the four wings. On the second segment of the thorax, that is the mesothorax, we have the mesothorax jointed leg, and on the third segment we have the metathorax jointed leg. This here is the abdomen, so here is the thorax, and that is just about the labeling for specimen A, housefly Musca domestica. That is housefly. So moving on, the next specimen for drawing is specimen B. Can we be told to draw a spider? Remember that spider belongs to the class Arachnida, and it has two body parts, cephalothorax and abdomen. We start with the abdomen first. Okay, the abdomen is going to look somewhat like this. Okay, yeah, I think we did that very well. Okay, it's going to look somewhat like this, and then on top of that big circle or oval abdomen, we're going to have our, that's just about ends that. Next up are the walking legs. The first one should look somewhat like this, and then a longer one, and then a short one, and then of course the pointed end. Let's say this is the first leg, we have to repeat the same thing here. And then a longer one, and then a shorter one, and then of course the pointed end, so that this looks like the very last pair of leg. Remember that in the planet we are looking at 4 pairs of walking leg. That's the first one, and the second one should follow just about the same plan. Okay, but this time around, the short one, and then of course the ending. Okay, now this should also follow the same plan. To follow the same plan, and then one last one, and then of course the sharp end. So this is looking more like it, and then we need two that is going to go upward. And then we repeat the same thing to this side. Of course, claw. So I haven't done this and this. We still have one more to go. That is going to be towards the inside, curved towards the inside. And then the last pair should be towards the in, and then of course, okay. So we have this, and then that is just about the appendages. Next up, we have about 8 ocelli. That's 8 simple eyes, 4 on each row. Okay, and the next is the pedipalp. Okay, the pedipalp goes somewhat like this, a small one. And then of course the chelicera, you can see that on your screen, just, so that's just about the main plan for a spider. Of course, we need to have hairs all over the abdomen, appendages, we have hairs on the appendages, just something on the appendages, we have hairs on the appendages. That's just about it. So imagine we were told that with the aid of our hand lens in the course of this exam, using our hand lens, we should observe the spider and then draw. What are we going to do? So a biology practical is not complete unless you practice your drawing. Very important. You don't want to be caught napping. So next up is for us to label. So our labeling should look somewhat like this. Is the first walking leg. This here is the second walking leg. This here is the pedipalps. This is the chelicera. These are 8 simple eyes, otherwise called ocelli. Now this region here is the cephalothorax, which means that the head and the chest thorax are fused together to form cephalothorax. This is the third pair of walking leg. This is the fourth pair of walking leg. And this is the abdomen. Very simple plan. This is specimen B, talking about the spider. Moving on, the next specimen of interest when it comes to the drawing is specimen C, talking about the pride of Barbados flower. But then, how can the question come as regards to drawing? First, we need to understand the anatomy of a flower first. Before we can even attempt the drawing, we need to know the various parts of the flower. As you can see on your screen, you can see the part labeled the stamen. The stamen is made up of the filaments, the anther containing the pollen grain. You can see that's the male part of the flower. It is otherwise known as androecium. You can see also the pistil, the stigma, the style, the ovary, the oval. These are the female parts of the flower. It is otherwise called gynosium. That is the part that receives the pollen grain. You can see the pink or purple petal. You can see the sepal. You can see the receptacle and the likes. Okay, look at another diagram on your screen. You can see the sepal, it is green. You can see the part labeled the odd or the standard petal. Another name for the odd or standard petal is the special petal. So depending on how the question comes, that is what we determine what we are going to draw for specimen C. So imagine the question can come in 2 formats. The first format is we can be told to remove all the stamens and let's say 3 petals from specimen C, leaving the special petal. Leaving the special petal, which means that in this pride of Barbados flower, there is going to be one of the petals. Let's say we have about 5 petals. There is going to be a special or odd petal. The odd or special petal usually come immediately after the sepal. It usually comes after the green sepal. The sepal protects the delicate structure of the flower. So the question says remove all the stamen and 3 petals from specimen C, leaving the special petal. Now, make a drawing 10 to 20 centimeters long of the remaining part of the specimen C and label fully. What we are going to be drawing in this case is displaying on your screen. So how do we start? What are we going to do? Let's get right into it. So we're going to start this way. Let's say this here is our receptacle. Immediately we draw the receptacle. You can see it is displaying on your screen. It is best for us to go this way. We just draw something, not to it's not going to be straight, but at the same time we're going to clean the certain parts later to be able to draw other necessary areas. This is going to lead upward. You can see it's going to lead upward. The very first and important thing to draw is usually where we are going to have the oval, that's in the ovary. It's always best to deal with that first. So after that, the next thing, we could go up very tiny. This is we drawing the this is with drawing. You can see it's already taking shape already. So inside the ovary, we can now begin to trace this part to draw so once we done this on the side, we then begin to arrange the over marginal arrangement. And look at the question again. Remove all the statements. All the statements means all the other long tube, the filament that carries the anther containing the pollen grain. Remove all the stamen. In this case, we've been able to, the diagram shows we've removed all stamen. This is going to be the style. This is going to be the stigma of our of the female part of the flower. This is going to be the ovary. This here will be the oval. This will be the receptacle. Okay, recall that the position of the ovary for the pride of Barbados is a superior ovary, which means the position of the ovary must be above all the floral parts that is going to come from this side. So let's assume that we have 4 petals and 1 odd or special or standard petal. Now we've removed 3, so we are going to only be left with 1 petal. Now let's try to draw the flower. So in drawing that, we'll just create the space in here. Okay, the petal could go like very bright colorful petal. In fact, the petal could go this way. This is a normal petal. We can now begin to talk about the special petal. Okay, we could now clean this now and draw something a lot more sensible. The special petal usually goes to the side, and the way it looks is usually odd. It's not something straight. It's looking odd anyway. So once we draw this, it should go straight. Actually, it should go straight, and then we're going to have something telling us this is truly odd. We've been able to remove the stamen, 3 petals, so we now have 1 petal left and 1 special petal left. We go something like this. This here is the receptacle. And join the receptacle here, we could go something like this here. No, this is the receptacle. These here are the sepals. That's the part that now protect. It is green in color. That is the part that protects the inner walls of the flower. Okay, this here they are the, you can make it a double line so that the, now these here are the sepals, special petal, the one petal left. This is the stigma. Another way the question could come is using a scalpel or knife or razor blade, cut through specimen C longitudinally, dividing it into two equal halves. Make a label drawing 8 to 10 centimeter long of one half. Now this here is our sepal. This here is our sepal. This here is our petal. This here is our stigma. This here is our stigma. This is our stigma. This here is the style. This here is the style. Okay, and this here is the, this here is the ovary. This here is the ovary. This here, what we now have in here is the oval. The oval is in the ovary. This should be the pedicel. This should be the receptacle. Now, this here is our standard, or this here is our standard or petal. If we add the question that we should draw the longitudinal, cut into two and draw the longitudinal section, it now means we are going to add the filament and the, we are going to add the filament and the anther, and we are going to still add one more petal. Very important. This is already one petal. It means we are still going to add one more petal. So how do we go about that? We want to now add our style. Okay, let's add first. Okay, let me add one petal first. Now I could go like, okay, this here is another petal. I could go that way. This here is a petal. This here is another petal, making it two. And then I could then try to draw my filament. Very important in this space here. My filament are more like tubes that will go up. Now this here should represent my filament, so to speak, filament, the anther. It has to be two lines as well. It has to be two lines. So you have to be mindful of how you draw your straight filament. And then we go again. It has to be totally slender. Is representing our filament. That's the male part of the flower. We're supposed to have like 10 different ones. So I could go here again. I could go again. You can see the drawing on your screen, what we're trying to. So I think 1, 2, 3. This one here is already your stigma. Look at where it leads to. We could go one filament coming out here, you know. That is if the question is what is now displaying on the screen at the moment. You can see that we've been able to draw another one. So we could leave this way, or we could just draw one more. We could, but that is just about the basic plan. That is if we are now adding this and we are now adding the filament. So in labeling this, okay, let me label to this side. In labeling this, this is going to be my, this here is going to be my filament, and this here is going to be my anther, and that contains the pollen grain. The anther and the filament makes up the stamen. Now this makes up the stamen, or the androecium, the male part of the flower. This here is our special, or you call it odd, or you call it standard petal. It's different from the way the other petal looks. Look at it straight and then curve. So these are the two ways we can have the question as far as specimen C is concerned. This is how we can have it. Do not forget, if they say 10 to 12 centimeter, you know what to do. We've talked about that before. So, and that just about answers that. Very direct. Next up is specimen E. You know, we can be told to draw specimen C, the dorsal view of specimen C. That's talking about the butterfly. What is the basic plan? How do we get started? The very first thing is the thorax region. Very important. We need the thorax region to be on point. Yes, the thorax region first, and then immediately after the thorax, we're going to have a very large, immediately after the thorax, we're going to have a longer abdomen, which is going to go like, that's the basic plan we are having now. Immediately after that, the other part is for us to, we could close this, then we go out, like draw the, yes, this here looks the compound eye. We can then close that so that we'll be able to draw the antennae on this, the antennae on this. So this looks the antenna. Okay, we could make it a double line, so to speak. So we could make it this is the antenna. This here is the basic plan. So next step is for us to draw the scale wings, the wings, which is the most important part of this drawing, and everything is going to be on the thorax, not on the abdomen. We won't be able to show the walking legs under on the ventral side. No, we will just be showing the wings, the beautiful wings. So how do we go in there? We could go like, okay, we would have another part of the wing here that is going to go downward. We could continue. You can see the plan is already there. We could go back this way. We could draw one more, and then just to make it look scaly as it should be. These are just designed to make it colorful. And then to the underside, and then from there, the scales, and then we can continue the same, plan. Repeat the same on the left side. If we start this way, we go up, and then we come back up, and then repeat exactly the same thing we did here on the right side. So this here is just about the basic plan. These are the wings, the thorax, the abdomen, the head, the compound eye. Next up is the labeling. This here is the antenna. This is the head. This is the compound eye. This here is the thorax. This here is the scale, otherwise known as eye spots. This here is the abdomen. This here is the hindwing. This here is the nerve. Up here we have the forewing. Okay, we can have the forewing. Now this is the forewing, this is the hindwing, and that's just about the labeling. This is the basic plan, how you go about drawing specimen E, the butterfly. Take note of that. So we've dealt with 4. So moving on, next up is specimen G. Imagine having a question that says, make a drawing 10 centimeter to 8 centimeter to 10 centimeter long of specimen G and label fill. Specimen G is a grasshopper. You can see on your screen what you are going to be drawing, what you're going to be labeling. The grasshopper has 3 body division: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Look at the 3 pairs of leg, one around the thorax region, another one at the end of the thorax, another one just at the adjoining part of the abdomen to the thorax. Look at the drawing, it is on the screen, and the labeling. For time constraints, we won't be able to run through that. You can see, look at it very well. All that you need to draw, all the parts you need to draw, you can pause the video at this point and take care of the drawing of specimen G. And to the last but not the least, we'll be looking at the drawing of, okay, either H or I, but I think I favor femur. I will be looking at the femur of a mammal, specifically a rabbit here. The diagram for the drawing of humerus is displaying on the screen. This is humerus. For now, we'll be drawing femur right about now. Femur is displaying now. Humerus is displaying now, sorry. We'll be looking at the drawing for femur of a mammal, that's a rabbit, shortly from now. Can we also be told to draw the transverse section of orange fruit? We've talked about that. It's displaying on the screen. In fact, we drew that particular diagram during the course of WAEC 2025, transverse section of orange fruit. Okay, can we have land snail specimen L? It is displaying on your screen. Take a look at it. All the necessary parts label is just there directly. You can see the foot of the snail. In fact, this looks like a potential drawing. You see the eye, you see the tactile tentacle, you see the mouth, You see the genital paw, you see the collar, you see the foot, the respiratory paw, the anus, the shell, the oculiferous tentacle. That is just about the drawing for land snail. And then for honeybee, you can see the diagram on your screen. Can we be told to draw the honeybee? Well, I really don't think so, but just for viewing sake, that is the honeybee for you. Let's shift our attention to the last specimen marked for drawing. That is specimen I, the femur of a rabbit. It is displaying on your screen. By the femur, we mean the thigh bone of a rabbit. What should our drawing look like? Let's get right into it. It is always best to start, a pointed side, which is going to represent the greater trochanter, and I think after the greater trochanter, it is always best to go for the neck, and after the neck, you're going to have the head, which then goes down. It's going to give us this edge here. That is going to be the lesser trochanter. This is the superior or greater trochanter. We can then come down with a straight line. Okay, but then let's deal with this other side of things. Okay, after the greater trochanter, we should be having a third trochanter. We can then descend downward. We can see this is the proximal end. This will be the greater trochanter. We're going to move this way for the neck, the head, the lesser trochanter, the third trochanter. We can then move straight down so that we can draw the distal end. In drawing the distal end, you can see how we've ended that. That's going to end this way. This is the point where the femur, the thigh bone, is going to articulate with the tibia and the fibula of the lower limb. Okay, you can then have something like this on the inside, so that this represents our articulation point. So this here is the basic plan for the femur of a mammal, more specifically a rabbit. Next up is for us to label this diagram. So this here is the greater trochanter. This here is the head, the point of articulation with the hip to form the hip joint. Okay, this here is the neck. This is the neck. This on the inner side is the lesser trochanter. This here is the third trochanter. This here is our shaft. This here is our condyle. This here is our patellar groove for the patella. So this is just about the important landmarks for the femur of a mammal, specifically a rabbit. And I think with that, we have come to the conclusion of the drawing of specimen I, and that just about wraps up everything for Biology NECO Practical 2025. From myself and the entire team, it's bye for now.